Are you worried about passing a BCS certification exam? Maybe you have one coming up and you're wondering, will you pass or will you fail? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the reasons why people fail BCS certification exams and how you can pass. So my name is Olumide Adeleye. I run Twim Institute. I also run businessanalysiscoach.com. I teach business analysis. I'm a BCS accredited trainer. And you can check out my website, businessanalysiscoach.com. You'd find BCS accredited training there. You'd also find general training on areas like business analysis and product management. Also, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do so right away. Click on the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you can get more and more of my content. Now to what we have for today. Why do people fail BCS exams? So first of all, let me correct an impression you may have had already, which is that a lot of people fail BCS exams. It's not like that. I can tell you for sure that many people pass the exams. Like I said, I run a BCS accredited center. One thing I know for sure is that we have a very good success rate. We have a very good pass rate. The chances of you passing are very close to 100%. If you're looking for great training, with very good chances of passing, get in touch with us. But while it's almost sure that you're going to pass, we have had situations where people failed the exams. And that is what I really want to touch on today. Here are some of the reasons that I have seen over time and may be responsible for people failing. Number one is insufficient study, insufficient preparation. So we've had situations where people would not study the material well enough, or they wouldn't have taken their time to really go through the training, or maybe they once did, but it was long ago and stuff like that. They've not properly digested the content and then they want to rush into the exams. We usually advise people to take their time. There's nothing to rush into. There's no point rushing into it and failing. So we want people to take their time and be sure that they are actually ready before they sit the exams. But we've seen that that is one reason why a person might fail the exams. Another reason is a lack of understanding of the exam format. So for foundation exams, you typically would have the exams being just multiple choice. There are no trick questions. You just pick the one that is correct. But by the time you start getting to the practitioner exams, there's still multiple choice, but then you have scenarios. You have to pick maybe all the correct options and stuff like that. And that increases the chances of getting it wrong, especially because you have to think through those scenarios very quickly. You have very limited time to do that. So not understanding that question format is a reason why people might fail. And the way to solve that would also be to make sure that you're not doing the third thing that I'm going to talk about, which is to not practice enough preparatory questions, enough practice questions. If you don't do that, if you're not practicing, if you are not really familiar with what the real exam questions are going to look like, you're not boosting your chances of passing. So my advice, my recommendation would be make sure that your training provider provides you a good number of practice questions. If you're studying with us, that's something that we do. We provide practice questions. You're going to have a good number of them so that you can prepare for the exams. It's very important. In fact, we usually tell our students that they should practice until they're scoring close to the full marks, close to 100% on the practice questions. And it is only then that they should take the actual exams. Another reason why people fail is not using the right study materials, or using outdated study materials, or outdated classes. So one of the things that we've seen is BCS changes the syllabus, they update it over time. Okay, so imagine that you were part of the training maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and then you want to write the exam today. It is possible that many of the things that you learned then would have changed. And if you do not first refresh your knowledge, or maybe take a refresher course and get up to date with the syllabus, you might find out that substantial chunks of it are different. So make sure that you're in touch with the syllabus. Yet another reason is poor time management. So we've seen situations where people would spend a lot of time trying to answer maybe some particularly difficult questions, and they would end up not being able to finish the exams. That's not a good thing. You need to be able to plan your time and to be conscious of time. So it means that you won't spend too long on a question. You can always leave the very difficult questions and get back to them later, or you can guess at them. Okay, because sometimes when you guess, if it is something that has 4 options and you have to select one, then by guessing you have a 25% chance of being correct. And to the best of my knowledge, there is no negative marking. So if you do not know the answer, instead of wasting time, just guess and move on. Time management is a crucial exam skill. It is very important that you are able to manage your time. One very important reason for failure that I've seen is about language and context differences. For example, I'm a Nigerian. There are certain things that we do in Nigeria. There are expressions that we use in Nigeria. There are ways that we describe things in Nigeria. They are different from the ways that British people would describe things, even though the language is essentially the same. English is our official language in Nigeria as well. But the use of the language might be different. The contexts might be different. And I've seen that sometimes in exam questions, those little nuances come into play. There are some things that if you're not very familiar with the context, what you would interpret, coming from my kind of background, would be different from what the examiner is saying. I've seen that over time, working with a lot of BCS curricula. And so when I train people, I try to help them see what the examiner is really talking about and some of the ways the information might be presented and what those would mean in their own context. Contextual information is very important for understanding. So that's one thing to bear in mind as you aim to pass and to ace your exams. And yet another one is not understanding the terminologies. I teach mostly business analysis and product management. And I've seen that for business analysis, there's a lingua. There's a language, there are terms, there are expressions that are used. And if you do not yet have enough familiarity with these terms, they can be very confusing very quickly. So you need to get into the frame of being able to, as it were, speak the language, being able to understand the lingua of business analysis before you attempt exams. You need to get into that frame of mind. It is very important because in the exams, you have very limited time. You must be able to make decisions pretty quickly. So you don't want to be struggling to remember terms at that point. You want them to have become a natural part of you, so that you can relate with them very quickly. Okay, so putting yourself in that frame of mind is important. For example, I have self-paced training options on businessanalysiscoach.com. I usually recommend that my students go through the videos over and over. They should watch those videos, those classes, not just once. They should do it a number of times. That way, it would have gotten into them. It would have gotten ingrained. They're more likely to remember. Okay, business analysis can be particularly tricky because there are so many terms, so many methods, so many techniques. It helps to ensure that you're really familiar with the lingua. One other reason is nervousness, or the other way around, overconfidence. So some people fail because they're nervous, they are afraid of the exam. Some other people fail because they are overconfident. They are so sure that they are going to pass that they do not put in the required effort, or they make foolish mistakes, or they are rushing through the questions too quickly and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you're not nervous, make sure you're calm, but you want to make sure you're also not overconfident. Don't assume that it's just a simple exam, you're definitely going to pass. No. It doesn't always work that way, especially as you move on to the practitioner exams, and the higher levels. You need to actually prepare really well. Even for the foundation exam, you need to prepare because it has a lot of breadth. There's a lot of content. So you need to ensure that you're prepared. Do not be overconfident about it. In closing, if you want to ace BCS certification exams, you need to put in the effort. And it is also very helpful when you're trained by providers or by trainers who know what they're doing. If you're interested in business analysis training or in product management training, you can visit businessanalysiscoach.com. You're going to find my courses there. I provide training for the BCS Foundation Certificate in Business Analysis, the Practitioner Certificates in Requirements Engineering, Modeling Business Processes, Business Analysis Practice, the International Diploma in Business Analysis, the Oral Interview, the Practitioner in Digital Product Management, and many others. So head over to businessanalysiscoach.com. And guess what? It's actually quite affordable. It's way cheaper than anything you would get in the UK because this is Nigeria-friendly prices, even though you really can be located anywhere in the world, including the UK. So you get cheaper pricing and you have very good training because I definitely know what I'm doing, right? Make sure you click on that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on notifications and make sure that you leave a like, leave a comment, leave a question if you have any. I hope to see you in my very next video. Do have a lovely day. Bye for now.